François Duvalier was born in 1907 in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Ulyssia Abraham, his mother, was a hardworking baker who played a quiet but influential role in his upbringing. Coming from a humble background, she instilled in him a strong sense of resilience and discipline. Her presence in the bustling streets of Port-au-Prince's working-class communities exposed young François to the struggles of the poor, shaping his understanding of Haiti's deep social divides, an awareness he would later use to craft his populist political image. His father, Duvalier, was a modest yet respected justice of the peace, a position that placed him at the heart of Haiti's local legal system, mediating disputes and upholding order in a society deeply divided by class and color. Growing up in a country marked by extreme poverty and political instability, young François excelled in academics and later pursued medicine at the University of Haiti. As a physician, he became deeply involved in public health, working on campaigns to combat diseases like yaws and malaria. His dedication earned him the nickname Papa Doc, a title that would later take on a far more sinister meaning. But Duvalier was more than just a doctor, he was a man of ambition. In the 1940s, he stepped into the political arena, aligning himself with nationalist and intellectual circles that sought to uplift Haiti's black majority. Inspired by the ideology of Noirisme, which promoted black empowerment in a country historically dominated by a mixed-race elite, Duvalier crafted a populist image. He painted himself as the champion of the poor, promising to break the grip of the privileged class and restore power to the people. It was a message that resonated with many Haitians, especially in the countryside, where decades of inequality had bred resentment. By 1957, Haiti was once again in turmoil following the ousting of President Paul Magloire. Sensing his moment, Duvalier ran for office, presenting himself as the humble physician who would heal the nation. Backed by the military and rural voters, he won in a landslide, but what seemed like a victory for democracy quickly became something else entirely. Almost immediately, Duvalier moved to consolidate power, eliminating opponents, silencing dissent, and setting the stage for one of the most brutal dictatorships in modern history. Once in power, François Duvalier wasted no time securing his rule. Any opposition, real or imagined, was swiftly and brutally eliminated. Political rivals were arrested, exiled, or simply disappeared. Some were shot in the streets, while others were dragged from their homes in the middle of the night, never to be seen again. Parliament was purged of anyone who might challenge him, and elections became a mere formality. But Duvalier's true weapon of control was not the military. It was the Tonton Macoute, a ruthless paramilitary force named after a mythical Haitian bogeyman said to kidnap children in his sack. These men, often dressed in denim and sunglasses, acted as his personal death squad, terrorizing the population with beatings, extortion, and executions. No one was safe, not journalists, not intellectuals, not even members of his own government. With machetes, guns, and absolute loyalty to Duvalier, the Macoute turned Haiti into a nation ruled by fear. Yet Duvalier's control wasn't just through violence, it was also through belief. He carefully cultivated an image of himself as a near mystical figure, intertwining his rule with Haitian Vodou. He claimed to be the physical embodiment of Baron Samedi, the Vodou spirit of death, often dressing in dark suits and staring unblinkingly at his followers as if possessed. People whispered that he had supernatural powers, that he could curse his enemies or even raise the dead. Whether they believed it or not, few dared to challenge him. At the same time, he rewrote history, ensuring that all narratives served his rule. Schools taught that he was Haiti's savior. Government-run newspapers printed only his praises. Portraits of Duvalier were placed in homes and businesses, his eyes said to follow you wherever you went. He didn't just want power, he wanted devotion, and through a mix of brutality, propaganda, and myth, he got it. By the 1960s, François Duvalier's grip on Haiti was absolute, and his reign of terror was in full force. Thousands of suspected dissidents, journalists, intellectuals, and political opponents were rounded up and executed, their bodies dumped in mass graves or left as gruesome warnings to others. Entire families were targeted, ensuring that even the thought of rebellion would be erased. Those who weren't killed simply vanished, taken in the night by the Tonton Macoute, never to be seen again. The prisons overflowed with the tortured and the condemned, while fear silenced the streets. Despite the bloodshed, Duvalier managed to keep powerful allies abroad. The United States, locked in Cold War tensions, viewed Haiti as a crucial anti-communist stronghold in the Caribbean. American officials knew of his brutality but turned a blind eye, continuing to send millions in foreign aid. The logic was simple. A brutal dictator was preferable to a potential communist uprising, and so, while his people suffered, Duvalier's regime was propped up by foreign money, strengthening his rule. Meanwhile, Haiti's economy crumbled under his corruption and mismanagement. Once a thriving agricultural nation, the country plunged into poverty as resources were funneled into the hands of Duvalier and his inner circle. Foreign businesses pulled out, infrastructure collapsed, and the Haitian people faced food shortages and skyrocketing unemployment. While Duvalier and his elite lived in luxury, the average citizen barely survived. But in a nation ruled by fear, even starvation wasn't enough to spark a rebellion, because in Duvalier's Haiti, to speak out was to die. By the late 1960s, François Duvalier's body was failing, but his grip on Haiti remained as tight as ever. Years of diabetes and heart disease had left him frail and sickly, yet he ruled with the same iron fist. Even as his health deteriorated, he continued to purge enemies, command the Tonton Macoute, and reinforce the myth of his own godlike power. No one knew when or if Haiti would ever be free from his rule. Then in April 1971, Duvalier died, but his reign of terror did not end with him. Before his death, he had orchestrated a seamless transition of power, naming his 19-year-old son, Jean-Claude Baby Doc Duvalier, as his successor. It was the first time in Haitian history that power transferred through a family dynasty. Despite his youth and inexperience, Baby Doc continued his father's policies, maintaining the Tonton Macoute, silencing opposition, and enriching himself while Haiti's people suffered. The dictatorship lived on. The long-term effects of Duvalier's rule were devastating. Haiti, once one of the most promising nations in the Caribbean, had been gutted by decades of corruption, economic decay, and political violence. Thousands had been murdered or forced into exile. Institutions were hollowed out, and the scars of fear ran deep through Haitian society. Even after Baby Doc was overthrown in 1986, the damage was irreversible. Poverty, instability, and mistrust in government became lasting legacies of Duvalierism. Even today, echoes of Duvalier's rule can still be felt in Haiti's politics. The cycle of strongman leaders, corruption, and instability that he cemented has continued long after his death. His image, once a tool of terror, still lingers in Haitian history, a reminder of how absolute power, built on fear and myth, can shape a nation for generations. François Duvalier rose to power as a man of the people, a doctor, a nationalist, a leader promising change. But once in control, he transformed Haiti into a nation ruled by fear. Through mass executions, the terror of the Tonton Macoute, and a carefully crafted personality cult, he cemented his place as one of history's most ruthless dictators. Even in death, his legacy continued through his son, leaving Haiti scarred for generations. His story serves as a grim reminder of how dictators maintain power, not just through violence, but through propaganda, manipulation, and the destruction of institutions meant to protect the people. When fear replaces freedom, when myths replace truth, history risks repeating itself. And as we look at the world today, his story is more relevant than ever. If you found this story intriguing, be sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most notorious figures. Let me know in the comments which historical leader you'd like me to cover next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.